Looks like we have people filling into the Zoom room. This is Michael Quinn. I run the marketing team here at Form. First of all, I just want to say thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We are fortunate to be joined by two of our senior designers, Eva and Janel. Today's topic is all about budgeting, and I just want to hammer home this is really about getting your questions answered. So please, please, please use the chat and Q&A functions at the bottom of the Zoom window to pop your questions in, and Eva and Janelle will make sure they get answered. Before we get going, I'm going to hand it over to those two and let them introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name's Eva. Obviously, I'm a form designer here, and I've been doing kitchen design for about 18 years. So happy to come and talk to you guys and answer as many questions as I can.
Hi, I'm Janelle, also form designer. I've got a little less experience, more like 12, but Eva and I have both worked in kind of full scopes of design build or commercial and had a huge range in our background. So hopefully we can help clear some questions up for you.
Well, thank you both. We actually have our first question coming in.
Cool.
The first one is, what will impact my budget most?
I'm trying to think about it. Like, there's so many parts about budgeting. Like, the cabinets are one of the largest that impact the budget, that take up the most space, followed by your appliances, countertops, flooring, backsplash, all of those, they all combine. But, do take note that the biggest item is probably going to be the cabinetry because it is the largest part of the space, followed closely by how expensive or inexpensive your appliances are.
And within that cabinetry, moving parts and accessories add a ton of function, but do also add to the budget. So within that bigger part of your budget, it can be flexible depending on how much you put in each item.
Amazing. We actually have two follow-on questions. You were talking about all the different elements there. We have a question from Paul, which is, how should I break down my budget when considering all those elements?
I'm trying to, it's based on scope of how big your kitchen is, but usually I'd say 30 to 40% of what your budget is goes towards the big items like the cabinetry and the appliances. And as Janelle said, there's a sliding scale on that. A fridge can be $10,000, a fridge can be $1,500. There's a huge gauntlet of pricing for those items. We can help you run with the cabinets, knowing that ours can start as a basic door and shelf all the way up to the full pull-out functionality, kitted out, that has lighting when you open it kind of cabinetry. So there's a lot of in-betweens, and we can kind of help guide you on that price point.
Yeah, and it might be phasing too. You might not need to replace your appliances, or you want to, but that's going to come next. They're working fine. You don't love the way they look, but we'll plan around your current ones and kind of make sure that whatever you want to replace them with eventually will function as well. Like, for instance, above a fridge, we put a small piece of cabinetry so that if you do get a fridge that is slightly taller, not only do you have some breathing room right there, but you can always adjust that later on.
Janelle, what a timely comment, because we have a question from Sally. Do we need to replace all appliances, or are you able to plan with existing appliances? We moved in 2 years ago and all the appliances are brand new from then.
Yeah, well, that's exciting, and absolutely not. I'm trying to replace all my cabinets without touching appliances as well. Same boat.
I mean, I've had someone come through with a cooktop that was 25 years old from Wolf that was still fine and functioning. And she was like, I can't give you a model number. It's too old. And I was like, well, we can work with this. And one, I'm impressed that it's still going. This is pretty awesome. So yes, we'll happily work with what you already have.
That's great to know. We have one coming in about European style cabinets. So for European style cabinets, how to control the budget and how to check quality.
Well, you mean quality among our manufacturer, or, you know, it's just form, as we are the only ones providing our cabinets. So we can walk you through what makes our cabinets great and special, and, you know, how they're built, what they're framed out, and we have a technical guide that breaks that down for you. When you're looking at other apples to apples from other manufacturers, it'd be something you'd have to let me know what it is. And if I have experience with it, I can happily talk you through what the differences are.
We do have somewhat of a range on the different quality of doors that can drive the price too. Some might have a little bit more of a prominent edge banding, while others will have all the way up to anti-fingerprint touch points. So we can always work within a budget there as well.
And an industry number, like the lower that number is, but usually the lower that price group is. So 1 being the lowest and least expensive, 10 being the highest and most expensive.
Janelle, you are 2 for 2 with timely comments, because we do have a question that is, what is that range? How different are the prices with our door fronts?
I think there's a 20% difference from price 1 up to 7?
10.
10, yeah. I think but with that, there's a huge range of aesthetics. So if you're looking at all just white slab doors, you have price groups like 1 through 4 to work with, essentially. The rest of them that are a little bit higher are going to be the shakers. They might look like glass, might look like metal. So it's really 1 through 4 that we typically design within.
Those are our most common. We have a 4, a 9 that is a gloss finish. That's a higher lacquer, but usually 2 through 4 are in our gallery. When you look at our webpage, that's what most of the kitchens are designed in.
Yeah, and shakers do carry a heavier price point for us, but we always find a way to make that work with your budget as well.
Great, great. Patrick wanted to circle back. So the comment about adjusting the top space above a fridge, when you get a new fridge that, for example, maybe an inch taller, can you adjust that space, or do we need to order a new piece or install, swap it out? How does that work?
You can adjust it, but you would want your installer to do that later on. But yes, it can be adjusted. You can cut it down, reinstall it. A normal fridge that's not panel ready is 72 inches tall, but help me with this one, Eva, like 15 years ago, they were 68 inches tall. So the industry likes to just change things on us. So we're just planning for the future of the fact that your cabinets are going to be with you for 100 years, but that fridge might only last 20.
Great, super helpful.
And if you kind of tell us ahead of time that you're planning on these not being your forever appliances, we'll design accordingly to give you some space and breathing room, especially around a fridge. You know, we don't want you to have to, you know, spend this money to do this kitchen remodel and then your oven or fridge go kaput and you gotta like buy something new. Like, you know, we do give you some space and wiggle room.
Great. A follow-on question from Sally. I didn't see it on your site, but are you working on any sliding door versions of your cabinet doors? So maybe that's pocket doors.
So we have doors that slide side to side,
Okay.
and that can be on a wall cabinet, a shallower base cabinet, or a full cabinet that kind of like hides a room, like a hidden pantry or something of the sort. So we do have some, but you can always schedule a meeting with one of our designers and we can walk you through the ones that we offer if you're looking for something specific.
And I mean, behind Janelle is kind of a common timbre over her shoulder. You don't have to duck, it's right clear behind you.
There we go.
Great.
Yeah, that's like a sliding up and down one, yeah.
Okay, I know this is a tough one to answer, but maybe there's some frameworks to use to talk about this. But how much does the average form kitchen cost?
Well, the scope is huge. Even just looking at the 2 kitchens behind us, they're 2 very different footprints. So I don't know if there's a good way to say average.
Are
I
there,
mean, then 25 to 30 seems to be a common number we see, but as Janelle said, it depends on, there's so many variables, right? Like what's going on the floor, how big the kitchen, what's the appliance, what are your appliances, what finishes are, what's
Yeah.
really internals, what's happening on the inside of the cabinets. You know, you could take a kitchen that looks like it's a 10,000, like a really simple space, and then inside of it is so many things that really make it more expensive.
Totally. Like the kitchen behind Eva has lighting in the channel. There's paneling all around the outside and sides of it. We've got floating drawers with adjustable metal shelves. So the cost is really driven by what you want in it.
great, great. We've got another question. When is a great time to engage a form designer in the process? And the second part of that is, what is the typical time frame for a project with form?
I would say as soon as you have floor plans, and the earlier you can get someone involved to start thinking about it, the better. Because you're better to have a design up front that even if you have to table it and sit, because you're waiting on permits and waiting on other things, to have it kind of ready to go. And have things start to be designed for your home. So you can start at the kitchen and kind of move outwards if you're doing a whole redesign. But the sooner you engage with somebody, even if you have to wait to order it, the better, and more you can really understand what you want out of your kitchen. You're not in a hurry. You can take that time to get what you want, and then you can order it and not have to feel that crush of, oh, I need a cabinets in 2 weeks, which is impossible for pretty much every manufacturer unless you buy something off the shelf from Home Depot.
Yeah, the earlier you start, the better. I mean, at least even if it's something that you're just conceptualizing and want to know if you can tackle, we'll give you tools to figure out if this is something you can do right now. Maybe we talk to you in a year, but we don't have like a time frame where if we start with you now, we can only work with you for 6 months and then you have to get that kitchen. I've been working with a few of my clients for 2 years now because they're just now getting that final build piece ready and
Oh, you're breaking
ready.
up.
Oh no.
You're back.
Can you? Okay.
I think what you're trying to say is that you've been, just like me, you've had clients that have been in your realm for a while, at least a year
Yeah.
or more.
Yeah,
In some cases.
exactly.
Great. This is a question going back to sort of those internal pieces, the drawers. Can they be added or removed at the very end of the design process without fully redesigning? So
Mostly, yeah, I'd say so. You'd want to do it before you purchased, but that is in our revision stage. You have full access to every cost and kind of detail about what's inside those pieces. So it's something that we would want to be discussing with you throughout each revision. But yeah, you can always change that. And as long as the size is the same, it's relatively a quick change.
It's a modular system, so I always like to tell clients, like, we can start at the sky's the limit, or we can do exactly what your budget, kind of what you're thinking, and we can add and subtract from there. You'll have, as Janelle said, you'll have full access once, as the process progresses, to see every cabinet drawn in and say, hey, I would like drawers here, or never mind, I need a place to store a crock pot, so I need it to just be a door. You know, we give you that ability.
great, great. Do you all also provide countertops?
We can. We partner with Caesarstone. We have a really, really great relationship with them. And depending on your exact location, yes, we can help provide Caesarstone quartz countertops. Outside of that, we do have some laminate or melamine options. We don't usually recommend those for the full kitchen, like for an undermount sink or the like, but we can provide either of those.
Great. This is a question around install timeline. For a kitchen like the one behind you, Janelle, or the one behind you, Eva, generally, how long does it take to install the form part of that kitchen?
Well, we are really spoiled and our cabinets come fully assembled, ready to go. And either the handles are pre-drilled or they're already installed. So I will say quicker than your typical kitchen, especially European kitchen. That said, there isn't really an average time. It's how do you have a carpenter that has a crew with him or her? Is it just a single person working by themselves? It could be a few days, it could be a couple weeks. The one behind me, I guess I'll be a little more specific. This little appliance garage sits on the countertop. So you're not installing that till the countertop is installed, which typically the turnaround there is 10 to 15 days, usually. So you can't install this one for at least a couple weeks, and so you got to get your carpenter to come back out and then finish all that upper trim work too. So one like mine will take, I think, a little longer than like one behind Eva, just for that little detail. So all those little things kind of dictate how long it takes.
For a simple kitchen, though, if someone is already kind of familiar with it, can take as little as a week and a half, but it's a matter of, like Janelle said, templating will have to come out. So it's like, it's tying in all the other trades that are gonna be doing it. Is a plumber coming out to install the sink, or is your contractor going to have the ability to do that? So it's kind of timing everything in a way where everyone can be on site for, or appliances. Do you have every appliance on site? So there are things that can take to extend the time frame and shorten it when you're having your kitchen installed.
Great. Here's a question. How do I engage a form designer and what is the cost of the design?
Well, you log onto our website and you create an account and fill out some information, and it'll assign you to one of us designers, and you'll get to chat with us in a one-on-one conversation. We'd love if you can provide us with a floor plan imagery of your space and any inspiration before we meet. The more we know ahead of time, the better we can come to talk to you about your project.
Yeah, and it's starting to get an actual design. You would have more detail in after one of those meetings, but to get a full design started would be $299. That does go back towards your cabinetry. And that would be like the first phase. So I would definitely recommend having one of those meetings and going through our whole process.
Great. Another question going back to appliances. Is there a general rule of thumb for how much you should budget for appliances?
No.
That's
It
the
really
worst.
depends. Yeah, it depends on your lifestyle, what fits in your space, how much you like to cook. Do you like to cook fancy? It's a real personal preference. Unfortunately, there's not like a generic answer.
I will say we have a book that we've made that has some ideas on appliances that can give you a collection of from Samsung, Bosch, Sub-Zero, all of the major brands to give you a kind of a good rough pricing idea on what things cost. And from there you can make those decisions on what's important to you. Like some people love a microwave, some people are like, hide that thing away, I don't ever want to see it.
Yeah, it's the appliance guide, right? Yeah, it's right on our website.
Here's an interesting one. Where can I cut costs without compromising on overall quality?
Quality's going to be the same from one end to the other. We will provide a quality kitchen. It's the value engineering of certain pieces that we can get down to. It just depends on your priority. If you really want more counter space, so you want that big island, that might mean that big island doesn't get as many drawers. Maybe you're doing adjustable shelves because they're more approachable price point wise. So that I'd say is my footprint versus what's on the inside would be what I would look at first.
And if you're budget conscious on that, tell us that up front, and we can kind of start leading that and put the things that are really functional and necessary in the spots that you use them, and more basic doors and shelving where you don't need it, but to still occupy space and give you a functional kitchen.
That's great. That's great. Do you provide fully itemized quotes?
Yes.
We do. We do once you're working with us and we're in our refining part of our process.
We'll release a document that has the floor plan, all the elevations, and a list of every cabinet and piece that's in the kitchen, and it's numbered, and you can reference them all the way throughout.
Great. Can I visit one of your spaces before engaging a designer, or should I wait till after I meet with a designer?
You can totally go first. They're
Go
beautiful.
see.
You should.
Great.
We just opened a new selection center in Denver, if you're in that part of the country.
Which, Michael, you're probably sitting in right now, right?
Yes.
I am currently sitting in that space. That is correct.
Nice.
That is-
See, he's
that-
lonely. Go visit him.
Let's see here. What about installation costs? I know this varies from geography. I know this varies by scope, but is there any sort of rule of thumb around how much you should budget for install, or is that just totally all over the place based on geography and scope?
That is kind of all over. It's a wild number. My advice is always talk to at least 3 people. Get 3 quotes from 3 different people. They will tell you 3 different things. Some of them will talk to you about different things that you need to bring up with the first person you met. So my advice is always at least get 3 and start narrowing it down from there, and it'll give you a good idea on what it would cost.
Yeah, it really just depends on your scope. If you're doing an in and out, just replacing cabinets and appliances exactly where they were versus totally switching around your space, messing with walls, you need a bunch of permits, they're going to be completely different price points. The NKBA says something like 30 to 50% of your budget should be towards labor, but that's very broad and very much dependent on your exact project. And like Eva said, getting multiple bids is the best move. And also meeting them in person. They're going to be in your house for a while. You're trusting them with something pretty substantial that you're only going to do once, maybe twice in your life. So you want to make sure you like who you're working with too.
You
That's
will
great.
get to know them, and they'll get to know you. As I
Yes.
have installers in my home for my own kitchen, they become your coffee buddy in the middle of the day. If you're working,
Yeah.
if you work from home like me, I'm like, hi, how are you guys?
Yeah, they're your roommates for a little bit.
This is a fun one coming from Tim. Do you all have favorite splurge features or items in the form lineup?
Ooh, we do, but we probably have different ones. What's yours?
There's videos of me talking about it. It's a trash can.
Yeah.
The much needed trash. That's my favorite. It's the most practical. It's super useful.
Yeah. Mine would be the pullouts in a pantry. I love it so much. It's so space saving compared to like the little shelves in an L that we shove into most builder homes. Really
Great.
opens up your space. Yeah.
I think this was covered, but we'll just ask it again since it came through. Do your cabinets arrive flat packed or pre-assembled?
Already assembled. Yeah.
They sit on little, they're kind of like a piece of furniture. They sit on little feet that you have to add, the base cabinets, but they are fully assembled drawers. Everything's ready to go when they arrive at your door.
Great. Ooh, what was the name of the trash can you mentioned?
All of our trash cans do it. They all pull out towards you like by a handle. There's variations of 2-bin to one that has an extra composting to it, but they are and they have a little lid on them that kind of keeps smells down. They're it's a simple but nice piece of kit to have in your kitchen if it's in your budget.
Yeah.
Right.
Game changer.
Well, we're coming up on time. We've got one final question coming in from, two more actually, sorry. How are cabinets sealed side by side?
There's a screw that goes in that connects them together when you're installing them. But they line them up on the feet, you level them, they squish together, and a screw connects them together.
Yeah, because they're built in a factory and not put together in your garage, they're very straight.
Amazing. Great last question coming in from Sally. I live in a condo in Manhattan. What logistics should I be thinking about before install?
If your building has a freight elevator or anything of that, will everything fit in that freight elevator height-wise? In another life, I had an issue with that. We usually try to make sure nothing's carried upstairs. And then I know in Manhattan, electrical can be a huge issue. So talk to your building about if you're changing any appliances, if it can handle what you want. For example, somebody I have can't use an induction cooktop. They have to keep with what they already have, which is an electric one. Because induction runs too much power.
Yeah, if your board has a list of requirements or if they have some sort of process they like to do for remodels, that's really helpful to have beforehand. Or during, just before you purchase it and make sure it's allowed.
I mean, they might actually have you to go through a whole submit what you're going to be doing before you even do it. And we can help guide that too.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I want to thank everyone. Wait, one more. In the home buying process, at which stage should I engage with the form team?
I would recommend once you close.
Yeah. You can always have one of our kind of initial meetings just to get to know our product and get a rough estimate and timeline. So while you're thinking about it, you have that in mind. But yeah, I wouldn't start the actual design process till you close, just in case. There's always delays.
Sorry, go for it, Eva.
Oh, I was gonna say, you always wanna make sure you got the keys in hand before you're committing.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out today and for the great questions. And thank you, Eva and Janel, for the wonderful responses. We'll be following up with an email that has a recording of this webinar, and you'll also have access to us. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. We'll also be sharing links to book in your initial design consultation with either Eva or Janel. Please take advantage of those. Those are really great opportunities to learn more about form and see how we can be a good fit for your project. But thank you everyone for your time, and thank you, Eva and Janel. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for the great questions. We look forward to working with you.
Okay, bye.